probably the biggest piece of news that's been going on currently in the NASCAR world has got to be a big player in the silly season for 2014. And first off, before we get to that, I want to thank everybody for their interest in this radio station broadcast. And a lot of people have been giving me topics to be able to talk about, and I believe this is actually one that a lot of people, a majority of the people, are actually asking me to do, and it's the fact of Kevin Harvick, Ryan Newman, the whole thing going on with Stewart-Haas Racing for 2014. Now let's first off go on with the facts that we already know. Kevin Harvick is going to be driving the number 4 for Stewart-Haas Racing. That's going to be what was formerly known as the 39, currently been driven by Ryan Newman here in 2013. Harvick coming over with Budweiser on his car for 21 races, so they're pretty much set for about 2/3 of the season. But Kevin Harvick's coming over. He's got his contract through 2016 for Stewart-Haas Racing. There's also some word that Rodney Childers is going to be the crew chief over there for that Ford team. Don't know for certain. What Matt Borland's also been thrown into the mix of a possible crew chief. We don't know that's for certain. We do not have that as written in stone, but we do know for a fact Kevin Harvick's going to be at Stewart-Haas Racing for the next 3 years at least, and Budweiser is heading over there with him. So now that begs the question on where Ryan Newman is going. So let's first talk about whether or not Kevin Harvick going to Stewart-Haas Racing is a good thing. And in my opinion, and remember, this is just merely my opinion, but I really think it is an excellent move. Not as much in the fact of how Danica Patrick's going to be able to learn from Harvick or anything like that. As far as I'm concerned, Danica Patrick is a non-entity. Really, I don't think that there was a thing that she did to be able to get any racing advice, any racing experience with either of her two teammates this season, be it Newman or be it her team owner, Tony Stewart. But I think that the benefit that's going to come from Kevin Harvick moving over to Stewart-Haas Racing is going to be for Tony Stewart himself. I don't remember how many times, but it seemed like all the time you saw Kevin Harvick and Tony Stewart working together, whether Harvick was in the 29 and Stewart was in the 20, or Harvick was in the 29 and Stewart was in the 14. They always seem to find each other, and they really work well, especially when they're at the restrictor plate tracks. Harvick, of course, has a Daytona 500 victory. Still looking for that Daytona 500 win is Tony Stewart. Who knows? This move from Kevin Harvick to Stewart-Haas Racing, that could be the key for getting Tony Stewart his first ever Daytona 500 victory. You never know. But those two, they're quite a combination when they're able to hook up during a restrictor plate track race. As far as the other ones are concerned, well, Kevin Harvick is one of those drivers who seems to come alive at the beginning of the season from about February to April. Then you head into June up through August. That's when Tony Stewart is good. And then both of them, you know, they kind of run pretty consistent at the end of the season. Of course, we know they've made chases and all that. Tony Stewart, of course, is former champion. And Kevin Harvick has actually been really close a couple times, too, in the chase numerous times. I really think this is going to be a pretty formidable team, barring Danica Patrick. The only thing Danica Patrick has done this season that anybody really has had to talk about is she got the pole for the Daytona 500. And, okay, so she got the pole for the Daytona 500. They had her have a fast car. But that's not really a season. That doesn't make or break a season. The fact that Kevin Harvick and Tony Stewart, the way that they are able to be consistent, I think that you're going to see them be the two out of the 3 drivers for Stewart-Haas Racing. They're really going to jump out. The people are going to be taking notice of. Kevin Harvick, I think, is going to be a very big addition to the Stewart-Haas Racing community, or the Stewart-Haas Racing team. A big thing too about Kevin Harvick is, in my opinion, and this is just merely my opinion again, I think Kevin Harvick came in the golden age of the young guns. It was him, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Matt Kenseth, Jimmy Johnson, Kurt Busch, and my memory's failing me as to who the other one was. There were 6 of them. It might have been Biffle. Look at the resumes these guys have racked up ever since they came in the rookie season. Matt Kenseth, he's a former champion in the Sprint Cup Series. He's also a Daytona 500 winner. You've got Kevin Harvick, as I mentioned. He's obviously won the Daytona 500. He's done well, running really well for Richard Childress Racing, now making the changeover. Jimmy Johnson, let's not even go there. We know the success that he's had. Greg Biffle, maybe not as much success as the other guys that he was with, but still has been a pretty popular driver over there at Roush Fenway Racing. Dale Earnhardt Jr., obviously a big fan favorite, always the most popular fan vote. He runs well at the restricted plate tracks, and that was back when he was running for DEI. He's made several stops along his way to Hendrick Motorsports. And then Kurt Busch, he was running well with the 97, ended up winning a championship in the 97 for what was then just Roush Racing. Then it was Roush Fenway Racing when it turned to that partnership with the Red Sox. But then he moves over to Penske Racing, had a pretty stellar career there, and now is running with the 78 and Furniture Row, which definitely seems to be a good combination for him as well, and not really much of a surprise with the fact of how Regan Smith drove with that 78 team when he was over with them, getting that win, of course, at Darlington. But I really think that those 6 drivers, when they came in their rookie seasons, and that around that time, I think that was the golden age of rookie drivers and young guns. And I really think that's a big reason why Kevin Harvick has so much success, is because he was part of that group. Just seems like that was the right time to come into the sport, and Harvick, of course, has learned a lot and really shown that he is the closer, Kevin Harvick. And I can't predict this, but it almost seems like this could be the final key element for Tony Stewart to maybe get a Daytona 500 victory, because I'll tell you, if I wanted to have somebody behind me pushing me across start-finish line at Daytona, in the biggest race of them all, starting off the season in 2014, it would have to be Kevin Harvick. And I really think, and keep in mind too, Kevin Harvick, Tony Stewart, those two have run in the same kind of rides in the Nationwide Series too. They've both been in that 33 car before, so they know just exactly what to expect, and they'll know just exactly what they can do to be able to work with each other as far as their cars at Daytona. So all that aside, let's now move over to the other side of the spectrum. What about Ryan Newman? And, I was actually looking through trying to find out just exactly what is there that Ryan Newman can do as far as what team he can go to. It almost seems like an easy answer, but then again, it's really been surprising sometimes. You never know. A lot of teams are in the running for Ryan Newman possibly going over there. One of them is, obviously, that vacant number 29 at Richard Childress Racing. Richard Childress was actually asked about that. Was Ryan Newman going to be a possible driver in the number 29? As a matter of fact, before I say that, Richard Childress Racing going down to a 3-car team next season. Jeff Burton, Paul Menard, those two pretty much already confirmed that they'll be there next season. Still no word about the 33. Probably they won't bring that back, so Landon Castle or Austin Dillon or whoever, they won't be in that ride. But that 29 car is open. The big thing here that's depending on this is whether or not Austin Dillon is going to drive the 3 car in 2014. If he is, the 29 car may not run. However, Richard Childress can still change his mind, make it a 4-car team, and still stick Ryan Newman in the 29. However, this is my thought, and I don't know if this is going to be the case. Remember when Dale Earnhardt Sr. died, they ended up moving the number 3 over to the 29. If the 3 comes back, I don't know, but will the 3 replace the 29? Kind of a little bit of a reverse there from 2001. I don't know if that would be the case if Austin Dillon does come in driving the 3. But if he does come in driving the 3 and they do replace the number 29 car, then the question is, where's Ryan Newman go for there? Well, there actually is some talk about him heading over to another team, which actually gets some help from Richard Childress Racing, and that's the 78 team of Furniture Row Motorsports. Now, we know that Kurt Busch, his contract with Furniture Row Racing is up at the end of 2013. In my opinion, really they should try and keep him in there. I think Kurt Busch and that 78 team are really a good fit. They just had a lot of hard luck come their way this season, but I really think they're a good fit. But if they do not take Kurt Busch for 2014, you may see Ryan Newman head over to that team, which, again, as I said, is going to be a possibility, a slight possibility of, Ryan Newman being in a Richard Childress, quotes, related Sprint Cup Series team. There's also been word that Kurt Busch could move over to Richard Childress Racing. I think the 3 big, the 4 big free agents this season are going to be Newman, Kurt Busch, A.J. Allmendinger, and then, of course, Austin Dillon. Bobby Labonte, maybe. I'm almost wondering if Bobby's going to be retiring pretty soon. Justin Allgaier, there's word that he's going to be coming, maybe driving the 51. Still no confirmation on that, but still, that kind of stuff, you never know. There's also a word that the 12 car may be coming back for Penske Racing. So we may end up having 2 or 3 cars for Penske Racing coming back. If that's the case, Sam Hornish Jr. has been a possible name that could drive that car, but What about Ryan Newman making his return back to Penske Racing? That would be pretty cool. Back in his 12 car, obviously it would be a Ford now, but you never know. That is a possibility of something that could happen. So as far as where Ryan Newman is going to go, it seems like it's out there. It could be Richard Childress Racing, but we still got to see where the Austin Dillon situation is going to go on there. Could be the Furniture Row Racing area, but I really think Kurt Busch should stay there, or it could very well be over in the 12 car if Penske does put that together. Well, hope that you guys have enjoyed this segment. We are going to be back next time for our next story. Please like this video if you enjoyed this segment. Comment to give me any topics that you think I should hit on. Also comment if you disagree. Give me your opinions. Let me know what you think of what my opinions were. If you agree or disagree, I'll see you guys next time. Be sure to subscribe to become part of the crew today.